Okay, so what we'll go ahead and do is just for the sake of your time, I want to be respectful. I did go live on Facebook for those people that are going to watch via Facebook, and then also for the recording just to move it along. So, since I have you, before we start talking, are there any specific questions that you have, whether it be Facebook command related and or designs related? What questions do you have?
Had to unmute. So what I'm looking at is when we're talking Facebook leads and using command to feed into our social media,
Mm-hmm.
creating those ads from within
Okay.
command. And then for me, I understand how to buy the post and whatnot, but there's still a process. It's creating the ad, submitting it for review to make sure that it's compliant,
Mm-hmm.
and then once that's approved, taking it, going ahead and utilizing it, right?
Right.
And whether or not it can be used in Instagram as well. I just started really. I went back to my Instagram that had been dormant for a year and a half and
Okay.
started putting things there too.
Okay.
So
And then anything else? Because I can go ahead and answer that question.
um I'm not really going to. I know a lot of people are doing TikTok, but I tried it for 2 days and it's too addictive. I just can't have it on my phone.
You definitely go down a rabbit hole watching
I
TikTok.
I just cannot. So until I learn better discipline with what I've got, TikTok's off. Um, I'm not a Snapchat. So basically I'm looking at Facebook, Instagram, uh, some LinkedIn, Google ads.
Okay. Okay. So I guess one of the things I'll say, and then I'll ask Lisa the same question too before I get into what we're going to talk about. Um, in terms of the flow, so let's address the flow, and then I'm just going to make a note here so I can come back to that. Platforms. Okay, so the workflow. So what I would encourage you to do is um, this. You may want to figure out some sort of template. And what I mean by that is going back to the whole approval process. So maybe you want to take it in chunks where, maybe 1 week you're focusing on something, whatever that something is. And so, what I would do or encourage you or suggest to you and any agent would be to come up with some sort of template, like, this is going to be my title, this is my subject, and then come up with the frame in which you want to get submitted and approved. And then, basically what you would do is you would have like your title, whatever it is, and then maybe the verbiage will be tweaked a little bit, but the overall message, and then send that frame to Michelle and have her approve that. So that gives you longevity of posting life, meaning that you get maybe 5 or 6 posts or whatever it is. You could do more. I'm just throwing that out. So then the process would be created within designs, and then, obviously create it within Facebook campaigns, screenshot that information, and then send her. If you're doing an added designs, or if it's just a straight post, then just screenshot it. If you're doing the post and some sort of graphic within designs, then, obviously send that to her. And then that way, that'll stretch it out. So then once she gets back to you, then you're good to go for the next server series. Um, and so that would be the flow part of it. I would say 2 things that I would make sure that the flow is complete, in a sense that, how are you going to start the flow? Meaning, what's going to be the post? Do you have a follow up campaign, or do you have a follow up agenda? So, all of those nuggets, if you will, send that to her for approval. And then that helps you kind of stretch that process out. So, that would be the first thing about the flow. Going back to your comment or question about TikTok and the various social media platforms, um, from experience, and then also from hearing high producing agents, you want to get to, this is what a lot of people will recommend, and this is something that I do as well, is you focus on one, really focus on one, and figure out of the one or two if you want, but typically most people will focus on one primarily. They may have some other places where they post for various things, but focus on the one that's going to work for you. So take a look at what you're communicating, the message that you're trying to send, and the people on those specific demographics. So if Facebook, which for most intensive purposes, it's going to be between Facebook and Instagram in terms of the people that are engaged and that you're going to be your target market, and figure out what's going to be your sweet spot. And then if it's Facebook, then focus on Facebook. You can still advertise and do things on Instagram or vice versa. But I would pick one and just be consistent with that and then let it build. For me, I chose Instagram just because of my demographics and, the level of engagement and where my leads are coming from. So I would just encourage you to go that way. And then you can springboard out and go into different things. That doesn't mean you can't post on other things. That just means for me, that's my main focus. That's 90% of the focus that I have. The other ones I still post to. So maybe that will help you get clarity around everything. And then you don't feel like, a spider web where you're trying to go, all these different directions. Does that help or?
Yes.
Okay.
I just muted myself.
Awesome. Lisa, we were doing some quick Q&A questions before I just give the Facebook lead advertising tips and then go into designs. Did you have any overarching questions as it relates to Facebook leads, campaigns, and or designs in Command?
No, not at this point. Thanks.
Okay. Crystal, did you have anything, either specific questions as relates to Facebook leads, campaign, and or designs?
I'm just here to learn how to do it.
Okay, awesome. No worries. Okay, so let's start with the tips. Number one, so these are going to be 5 tips as it relates to Facebook campaign advertising tips. The number one thing is, and this is well vetted data, and this is driven from high producing agents and then also coupled with marketing. So number one, when you are creating a Facebook, and let me just go in here to make it crystal clear. Go to share my screen. Okay, so can you all see my campaigns, campaigns, i.e. Command? Okay, so the first thing in terms of Facebook lead campaigns, you want to, as much as possible, integrate designs within your campaigns. You can begin to just have the text, but as you all know, the more graphics and or video that you have, that's going to produce more people looking, or eyeballs, if you will, on your content. So number one, I've seen an integration within designs, whether that's just a simple design or a video. So that's number one. Number two, when you're running your Facebook campaign paid ads, you want to run in tandem an A/B test scenario. So in A, maybe if let's say, for example, it's a listing. So maybe in A, you have an image, a nice image of the listing, and then you have, your verbiage. Then maybe B, maybe you want to try a video and, slightly tweak the verbiage, or maybe the same verbiage. And what that does is it allows you to figure out that sweet spot of which ad is going to produce the most value for you. So whether that's the image itself or the video itself, typically video is going to outweigh. So if you wanted to do 2 videos, then what you would do is have your A be 1 video, and you have a certain verbiage for that. And then B would be maybe the same video or a different video. And then you would have, different verbiage for that. So that's how I have seen agents that are maximizing Facebook campaigns. They run them in tandem and they do an A/B. And then once they get the data back, some of them, what they will do is, so if you're going to run it for, let's say, for example, you're going to run it for 30 days. I'm just throwing out a number so you can see. then what they've done, the high producing agents that are maximizing campaigns in command, they will take that 15-day marker. And in 15 days, they'll look at their A and B stats. And then from there, they will either pause A or pause B or keep them both running depending on the results that are given. So that's the second tip as it relates to Facebook campaign leads. The third one is an old adage back to the newspaper game. So some of you may be familiar with this. The term is above the fold. Have you heard of that? So above the fold is this. So when you get, and we still get papers from time to time, but when you get a newspaper in your hand, typically it was folded. And everything that was above the fold, meaning here up above, most people looked at, and then, they started reading it, and then they went to something else because they wanted to continue it. So think about this, and, obviously we can relate it to today's vernacular, but above the fold simply means this. You want to make sure that when you are creating your verbiage, your information, that you appeal to the buyer and you appeal to what this property is going to do for them. So the end goal, the end result, because if you can tap into that end result, put that in a title per se, that's going to get their interest. And so you'll be above that fold, meaning you're going to gain or attract them, create that with them, if you will. What's in it for me? So if you create that with them for the potential buyer and or seller, depending on which side you're going to be on, then you have a greater chance at people actually reading it, clicking on it, and responding to whatever your contact card or wherever you land them to. So that's the number 3 tip would be making sure that you are above the fold, meaning that you are eye-catching, appealing, drawing them in so they want to know more from you. So that's tip number 3. Tip number 4 is also related to 3, and that is very simple, very succinct. Don't mince words, be very direct, focus about what you are communicating and what you want them to do. So that means what is the call to action? What are you trying to communicate? Keep it simple, short, don't have fluffy words, just get to the point. And then a clear call to action, whether that's directing them to a landing page or whatever it is you want to do. Make sure that you have a clear call to action. Keep it simple. 5th, have a follow-up plan. So oftentimes you will create the campaign and you will invest all of the time and energy into the campaign, but you need to also equally devote time to that follow-up plan in terms of what are you going to do. If it's a landing page that you're using, make sure that that landing page gives clear guidance of what you want them to do. And then, whether it's a smart plan that you want to couple with that or whatever it is you want to do, making sure you have a clear follow-up game so that you can maximize them when they reach out to you. In terms of the follow-up plan, there was something that went in my head and it went out. There was one other thing I was going to follow up on the follow-up plan, but I'll come back to that. So again, tip number 1, integrate designs. Number 2, run an A/B tandem test. Number 3, above the fold, create that with them, what's in it for me. 4, clear call to action / simple. And then 5, have a clear follow-up plan. What is your plan after they reach out to you? The one thing that I will say is there's many schools of thought. However, if you're going to maximize paid commands in Facebook, I would consider not having them do a third-party landing page, because what's going to happen is, unfortunately, you'll have a break in the people that you're going to potentially connect with. What I mean by that is this. Campaigns in Command already has the automatic connection to Facebook, i.e. the landing page from them. Don't break that chain, because if you then send them to a third-party landing page, if you're doing paid ads, there is a break in communication, you may have some people fall in the cracks that you don't get their contact information. So if you're going to benefit from the Facebook campaign and you know, spend your time, spend your money, spend your effort and talent, make sure that you utilize what comes with it in terms of that landing page. Don't disconnect it. Keep it all connected. And then you can go from there. If you want to have your follow-up campaign, whatever that may be, if you want to do another landing page, absolutely do that. But the initial process, keep it all connected, keep it simple. So I'm going to stop talking on those tips and see what questions or comments, and then we'll go into designs.
I guess I'm not exactly understanding the follow-up plan. So you run your ad, you supposedly get some people to answer your call to action, right? That's what you're looking for. And then I don't understand exactly what I do with that. I mean,
no, you're fine. And that's great. That's what we're here to discuss. So what I would say is this. So let's walk it through methodically. So you create the post, like you mentioned, or a campaign. You get it approved. Once it's approved, you hit send, you pay your money, you do all that stuff. Then you start getting people that are responding to your post, whatever it is, and whatever your call to action is, if it's simply just, you know, sign up for my newsletter or whatever it is. So you create that plan. And then from there, like once you get their contact information, Lisa, then what are you going to do with it? So are they going to be in your email newsletter? And if they're in the email newsletter, what are you going to do after that? Are you going to follow up with them like 5 days later, 10 days later, and just say, check in, just want to see, you know, did you receive my email or whatever it is? So how are you going to follow up with them? If it's an automatic drip campaign, you would still want to make sure you touch base with them. So whether that's 5 minutes after, 5 days after, or 10 days after, or whatever it is, just figure out how that communication flow is going to go after they give you their email or whatever information you're getting from them. What's going to be that follow-up? How often are you going to pick up the phone or text them or whatever it is? Does that make sense? Does that add clarity to what I was saying?
okay, because my normal response would have been, you know, if somebody I do get their contact information, you know, as soon as possible, immediately contact them. And then depending on how that goes depending on what kind of like smart plan I would put them in.
Right.
Put them in a neighborhood nurturer, if I'm going to be actually putting on a saved search, if they're a very hot, you know, buyer or something like that. So I think I don't pre-plan that unless I figure out exactly what their needs are.
Right.
And I guess if I don't get something back, you should have what you're saying is you should have some kind of generic backup, something
Exactly.
that is automatic if you don't connect with them.
Exactly. Because the point is, which you all know, is that you just want to remain top of mind. So whether they're ready to buy now or later, you want to make sure that you're being top of mind. So, you know, even if it's something like, you know, something fun where, you know, I don't know, real estate trends or something like that, to where it's a soft marketing tool, but it keeps you engaged with them. So, you know, I'm just going to keep you updated on the trends, you know, the market trends or whatever it is, or, you know, something like that as your backup, kind of your ace in the hole, if you will, to just keep that, you know, constant communication with them. And you determine what constant is. I can't tell you that. You do that. So whether that's a month, every other month, every other week, whatever it is, you create, you know, that system that works for you. But I just want to make sure that the agents are taking advantage of, like all of the higher producing agents do, is just having that backup plan. Any other comments or questions about that? Great question though, Lisa. Okay. So let's actually get into Crystal had mentioned this in terms of the actual Facebook. Let's go in here just for a quick minute.
Latasha?
Campaigns. Oh, did someone say something? Sorry.
I did.
Okay, go ahead.
One question. So on the follow-up plan, can we tie it to an automated messenger response that will let them know that we'll be contacting them via messenger or by phone, whatever their preferred contact method?
Absolutely great question. I would actually wholeheartedly recommend that, because what you're doing is you're over communicating, and you're doing several things. You're communicating, but then you're also doing that customer relation where you're asking them permission per se. So you're saying, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to reach out to you, or I'll follow up with you, whatever it is. So you're clearly communicating. And you're also setting the table and the tone for what you, Teresa, are going to do for them and how you're going to be that resource for them. So I would highly encourage that.
Okay, so the automated responses to the Facebook ad, are they within command or in
Yes.
campaigns?
Yes, and you can do two things. You can get very automated in command. And so what you could do is, let's say, for example, going back to Lisa's point to basically partner the two. Let's say my ace in the hole is some sort of real estate, highlights or something like that. That's my backup, what I'm going to send to you. Then what I would do is I would go in, or encourage you, suggest to you, is go into Smart Plans, create that, top trends or whatever your ace in the hole is, and then set a trigger. So then that way, once you get that person, if you don't get a response from them, or it's your ace in the hole, just assign that trigger to them or that campaign, and then it's just going to be automatic. So, if they don't respond, or if they don't do, as long as you've got their information, just set them up on that.
Okay, but initially when they fill out the form, because that's my call to action, I want your information, right?
Right.
And they submit it.
Mm-hmm.
Having the automated response that says, thank you for reaching out. I'm going to be in contact with you via however I'm going to be in contact with you. And then the secondary would be another trigger, is to go ahead and send them.
Correct. So let's walk this through. So you create this campaign, then you connect them. I don't know. Let's see if I have it up.
Sorry, guys.
No, you're fine. And I don't have, let's see. I
just want on the ads that if they're getting an instant response that they think is from me, I might be asleep, right?
Right. So then what you would do is this, the initial connecting is actually going to be manual, and then you can automate it. So let me be very clear with that. So for here, what you're going to do is you're going to have, basically, you have all of your your active campaigns, your draft campaigns, and your past campaigns. And so this is where you're going to get your data from. And so from there, you're going to be connected to that landing page. So the first part is going to be a manual connection. So let me be very clear about that. So you'll get the information from them. So first it's going to be manual. Then once you get that information, then you can set it up on auto, to where if you're connecting them to whatever it is you told them you're going to do, and or if you want to connect it. So say, for example, you told them that you were going to send them information on what's current or what's hot in the market right now. Your ace in the hole is your industry tips. So then what you would do is automatically sign them up for the first one that you told them that you were going to do. And then say, for example, for your ace in the hole, maybe you set that to trigger in 30 days, meaning that you want to give them 30 days, or maybe it's 10 days you want to give them. If there's no communication, then it goes back to that, here's some top tips and tricks that I can give you. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
It does.
Okay.
I've used Facebook ads outside of command, and I've tied it to Messenger. So if you messenger me or you send a response, my messenger automatically will respond to you.
Right.
At me. Right. Kind of like
and
a bot.
So, yes. Initially, it won't be automated. You'll have to make it automated. So initially it'll be a manual process, But then once you get the data, then you can make it automated.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Great question. Anyone else? So let's get into the campaign, and then we're going to do listing and buyer presentation. So the campaign itself, so I'm already in campaigns. If you were in paid ads, you would, let me move this down. You would go into create a new campaign. Then you specify if this is going to be a social ad, social post, search ad, email, whatever it is. So we're just going to do social ad. And then here, name your campaign. You can select what you're going to do, advertise listing, attract listing, advertise multiple listings. At the end of the day, this part can give you some clarity, but I wouldn't overthink this. If I'm going to overthink anything, I would be strategic about the verbiage that I'm using, not necessarily the category, but the verbiage is really what you want to say. Typically, most people will select brand awareness, because that's a very general bucket, if you will. And then you can decide if this is going to be Instagram, Facebook, or wherever you're going to send this. I'll just do Facebook for now. And then I'm going to, oops, let's move this out of the way because there's something that I didn't do.
You need a name. You need to name it.
Oh, sorry. Like there's something that I didn't do. What did I do? Okay. So then from there, it's going to preview on the right everything. I'll just get rid of this pop-up. So then you set your goal. If it's going to be a listing, you would, hit add listing. The one thing I will say about the listing is this is more so for big island agents and or agents that are selling lots specifically. As you know, you don't have an address 123 Lot Avenue. You don't have that. So what you want to do is when you're connecting a listing that is a lot specific, you will have to search the city lot. And then when you search the city lot, then you should have your, you'll be able to find the KWLS link to the MLS. So again, if it's a lot, you have to search by the city to have that lot number pulled up. You won't be able to search it by the number. So I just wanted to be very clear about that because I've had a couple of agents that reached out to me and said, hey, I've got this lot listing. It's on MLS, but it's not showing up in KWLS. Search the city first, then you can find the lot. So then from there, again, type in whatever your main content is. I'm just gonna do some random stuff. Then whatever your headline is, again, above the fold, keep it simple, to the point, whatever your description is. And then you would fill out all of this information, the ad media, whether you're going to add a video and or design, Facebook ad, configure it, duration. And then once you do that, you would want to screenshot this, send it to Michelle for approval. And again, going back to what I mentioned to Teresa earlier, is you may want to come up with a theme or a focus for a couple of posts. So that way you get more longevity out of this approval process. And that way you can share it against multiple platforms. If you're going to do Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, you can share all of this and just get a one-time approval for everything. So that would be the bringing clarity around the campaign part of it. We're going to actually get into more in our next series on Facebook, but I just wanted to be very clear about that. Follow-up questions about that part. And then I do want to touch on listing and buyer presentation. Crystal, did you have any questions about that piece?
Not specific.
Okay. So then let's go into designs, because I want to be respectful of your time. And Command's not being respectful for me. It just lost me. Hold on. Let me see if I can reload it. And then if not, I'll go in incognito really quick. Can you see my black incognito screen? I may have to reshare it. Okay, so let me stop and reshare my desktop. Let's do this. Now, can you see it? Okay. All right, so in designs, I'll let it load for a minute. So within designs, we're specifically talking about the listing and buyer presentation for the next few minutes, and then I'll let you go. So we're going to click on social and then the plus sign, social next. So now it's connecting us to the We brand where we get all of our gallery of options. So within the templates, you can go into listing or buyer. So for listing, in terms of you can do whichever one you want. You can go into local expert here, export here. And you can do a presentation that's just, or you can do a slide that has it. You can do a just listed. And then let me show you one other thing that people have started using. Here's the buyer presentation. So you can have, looks like it's just one for now, but I want to show you another trick around the buyer and listing presentation. So this one is specifically for Instagram. So it has all of this information here. You can, couple of tips. The first thing you want to do is you can either load all of these in. So how you load them is you hit the plus sign and you add them. We mentioned this before, but just make sure that you load it so you see it on the right-hand side. At the bottom, you'll be able to click on pages and how this is continuing to search for a document. Simply what you can do is you can, once you have to load a page first, which Robert mentioned last time, then you can click on this and cancel this to get rid of it. And then you just want to keep loading all of your pages. I'm just doing a quick load just to show you just the first three. So then let's say, let me do one more. So then from there, you would want to make sure you save it. I love these. This particular one on the buyer side, you can always tweak or change the verbiage on it. But I like these for a couple of reasons. Graphics and videos basically attract people. These have great graphics and small content in terms of words. That's how you get people in. Because the more you can show them visually, they can also visualize where they're going in terms of where they want to be. So the more graphics that you can show them with fewer words, but still effectively communicate what you're trying to, you're going to get much more responsiveness from people. So that's why I like this. When you go to download it, even though it specifically says Instagram, you can download this in a PDF or a ping or whatever, and you could still communicate that or send it out. So that's why I like this buyer presentation, because it's very visual heavy, content less in terms of you see the visual first, then you get that key content. And it goes back to the 5 pillars that are the 5 tips that I originally started out with. And those are from high producing, high functioning agents. Questions about that? And then I want to show you one other thing. And one other one.
You're saying you could post this buyer presentation on Instagram?
Yeah.
Or you could use it however you like.
Exactly. If you just want to email it in a PDF, you could do that. Or you can take the content and either create the JPEG or PNG version. PNG is more of a universal image that you can use across multiple platforms. You can also use it in a JPEG, but yes, you can actually take that and post it on Facebook, or excuse me, even on Instagram, Instagram and Facebook, but you can post it anywhere on social media. And then there's one other one that I wanted to show you. So lead generation, they moved it a little bit, but lead generation, under that category, there's the personal brand, that's the magazine. So this is the magazine, and I'm going to click on this so you can see it. And again, this is in rebrand. This is one of the newer magazines, and you can custom create this and make this your presentation. It could be the listing presentation or the buyer presentation. So whichever, this is the newest one that we have, that you can tweak this to however you want to do it. You can tweak it to where it's a monthly newsletter. You can tweak it to where it's a buyer presentation, or you can tweak it to a listing presentation. The flexibility is there, and I love it because it's very visual, but it also has it's a great combo of visual and content, visual and content. And then just how the other one I did, you can go in and let's go to the top. I can start adding all of these, and then I can go in and delete the pages that I don't want.
I'm sorry, Latasha, I missed where you got that one.
Yeah, no worries. So I'll go back to the file path. So then in templates, you go to lead generation, and then lead generation is the personally brand design. And then it's basically the new magazine. So hit use. So under lead generation.
Thank you.
And then you can custom this, customize this to whatever you want to use it for. But I love it. I like it. It's new, it's fresh, it's very visual and content, balanced. So it's great. And then here you could have, your information, or you can even put this, if you want it to be buyer specific, if you wanted to do a custom, especially for a luxury client, you could customize this to like, this is what you told me you wanted kind of thing. So like a personal letter. So there's so many applications you could use this for. Questions?
I just have a comment. I started to do the MailChimp monthly newsletter, Latasha.
Yeah, we talked about last time.
Yeah, that you showed. And when I saw this is hands down so much easier for me to maneuver, right? And you're right, it's visually appealing, where my clients find it so much easier to flip through that than to scroll. And
yes.
So I love it. And the fact that it's versatile with the listing and the buyer presentation. This is actually where we have been updating our content and transferring the information from our presentation to this, because it's
awesome.
Easier.
Good.
Yeah, it's definitely easier.
Awesome. And then you could also integrate that third-party app that Robert mentioned last time in terms of the Flip Stack. So you can upload that into it, and then it could be like a virtual newspaper, if you will. So you can also even, share that on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, however you want to do it. The other high producing fact that we talked about, this goes back to the highlights from Family Reunion, totally going in a different direction and doing all video. So, you can go as far as you want to go. It just depends on, how much you want to put into it, but you can even change this into a video format. Thanks, Rochelle, for a comment.
Yeah, thank you. Love it.
Anyone else? Any comments or questions? I want to be respectful of your time. Was this helpful today? Good. Okay. So today is the last day for the designs portion of it. Next week, Tuesday, we're actually going to focus on nothing but smart plans. So we're going to have a 4-part series, 30-minute snippets. I'm going to tell you right now what they are. I think I have them written down. Give me just a minute. I got too many notepads here. Hold on. Let me get to my notes really quick so I can give you a quick rundown. And then, oh, you know what? I know where they are. Let's do this. Let's stop share and reshare. I'm going to show you really quickly. All right, so now we're at you should see my whole entire screen. Let's do this. Let me go here because I think it's here. Okay, so in the calendar, it's already in there. So let me pull it up, Smart Plans. Okay, so here we go. So this is what we're covering, the next 4 sessions. Next Tuesday, March 16th, we're gonna do an introduction into what is a smart plan, why use them. The following Tuesday will be the 23rd. This is going to be smart plan tips, specifically smart plan tips. The third one is going to cover how to maximize your sales pipeline utilizing smart plans. And then the fourth one is going to be on March 30th. These are all 30-minute segments. This one is going to be on maximizing your post-close system using smart plans. So that's what we're going to cover the next 4 series. And again, 30-minute chunks, keep it easy breezy, and then specifically target those things. All right, anything else? Questions? Anything else that you were looking for that we didn't talk about that you want us to focus on in smart plans?
I put a question in chat.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, let me get to it. So sorry.
Okay.
Great question. So Tuesday's class, I actually just downloaded it. It actually is. It's already on our YouTube channel. So Tuesday's class is already up on our YouTube channel, and there will be a link also on the Week at a Glance, but it is already up. And then I will get this one up, and it should be available on our YouTube channel by tomorrow. Great question. Sorry, Crystal, I missed that.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day, and I'll see you soon.
Thanks, Latasha.
Bye.